Don't be weird. Don't be weird. Don't be weird.
Whoa, how are you doing?
What are you up to? Why are you always so weird?
Not much. When we were in the pre-show, we were talking about how I say, hey, we don't like talking about ourselves and our sponsor, Bestway International, but we do it so people can jump on and tell us where they're watching. I totally fibbed. I love talking about ourselves. How are you doing, Aaron?
I said that in pre-show. I said I kind of like talking about myself.
Same here. Hence why we do a podcast. It could be vain, or maybe it's about the guest, or maybe it's about Bestway International. We don't know.
One of the things I often say to our clients is that everybody's favorite subject is themselves.
Oh my gosh. Literally, I'm going to the University of Kansas to speak again to a smaller group today, and also to show my kids the school with Julie. But every time I say everyone's favorite word is their name, everyone's favorite subject is themselves, and everyone's favorite thing to do is give advice.
Right.
And so if you do that for 50 minutes, the last 10 minutes, they'll do you a favor.
If you have a teenager, you already know that we're already equipped like this, right? Like I have a teenager and a preteen, and what I learned from my therapist is that your brain doesn't actually even start thinking outside of right here until after 18.
Interesting. So also when I speak, I draw a bell curve and I say 22. And I say, if anyone can tell me what this means, you can leave. And 22 is the peak of your knowledge. It's where everyone's an idiot and you're the smartest.
All right.
And then the further you get away from it, the more you don't know. And
then you have teenagers and they tell you how dumb you are. It's a super fun game.
Yeah, they're getting to the bell curve of 22.
Here's the thing. I can tell we already have people watching. What's really fun about being on the back end of this is I can see all the people watching. So if you are here watching, please tell us, are you on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube watching us? And who are you excited to see? We've got two really awesome guests today. I have Chloe and my team pulling up some of these numbers, but we're getting close to 700 guests.
Wow, that's nuts. And just to rephrase, anyone that writes something, we read it. It's like Anchorman. If you're a Johns County white frat guy and like Will Ferrell movies, we read it.
I hate that. I'm going to tell you a funny story. Okay, first of all, Woozy says, good afternoon. Glad to catch you guys again. Hi, Woozy. And Paul says, found you guys on Alta Vista.
Paul.
And Woozy's watching us on LinkedIn. So we got all sorts of stuff going on here. I recently hung out with somebody that just did movie quotes the whole time, and it reminded me of you. And I think I found you a new friend. Maybe you guys can be besties. Sharmelle, Dionne, Winsett is awesome. Oh, listen, people are always, these two, we're in a competition. These two are already in competition to beat out each other's comments today. So there we are. All right, let's be enough about us. Why don't we bring our guests on today?
But really, I mean, like we love talking about ourselves. So, but you're right. So I told a fib in the pre-show, but Bestway International allows us to do that. Hopefully, do you have new music when we bring people on?
Not new music. I still have the same terrible music. Can you remind me, can somebody on this show, see how many of you, there's a lot of you watching. Can somebody send me a message midweek and be like, find new royalty-free music to play for the show so I don't have to play the music it comes with? Thank you. All right, Scott, maybe you could text me that too. Put that on your to-do list.
I don't know. I kind of like the music. When I tell people, they're like, well, you're about to have 600 guests. You've done it for 4 years. Why do they do that? I go, well, I'm the boring person and my partner, Aaron's the exciting one. And there's the parody.
I'm so not exciting today. I'm trying to be though. All right, here we go. Let's we didn't even tell our guests we were going to play this terrible music. I apologize, guys. I can see your faces right now. Scott can't, but I can. Here we go. It's the absolute worst. Absolutely worst. Okay, let's get our guests because they're way more exciting than this. We're bringing both out. Our first guest is Sharmelle and Choi. Isn't it the worst? I hate it so much. If you like it,
I like that. That's a little jam.
All right, we're gonna act like you. I'm just kidding.
Just trying to help you out.
All right, Sharmelle. Here we go. We're gonna start with the clock. We're still doing this. People seem to love the clock. That keeps being the feedback on the show. So we just started this in 2024. So Sharmelle, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
All right. Well, my name is Sharmelle Winsett. I am the Vice President of Development and Strategic Partnerships for WeCode KC. WeCode is a local tech education nonprofit that provides youth pathways out of poverty through free coding classes as well as workforce development training. I got to Kansas City by way of my lovely mother. My mother, by trade, is a clinical psychologist. We're originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. After her PhD program, she got recruited to a postdoctorate program at the Menninger Foundation. So we had to pack up all of our worldly belongings and move from the urban core of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then move to Topeka, Kansas. I will tell you, it was quite a culture shock to go from a city to really kind of a small town in the middle of the country. But Kansas City, shortly after she finished her postdoctorate program, she got recruited at the Crittenden Center here in Kansas City. And so Kansas City, since the late 80s, truly has been my second home. I've grown to love the Midwest. I went to high school here, Hickman Mills High School. Go Cougars, if there's any Cougars watching. I also went to college. I went to Mizzou, Mizzou. I know we have some Mizzou folks watching. And so the Midwest really, truly has become my second home. I've been here since the late 80s and truly love being in Kansas City. I think it's a great place, affordable living, decent schools. I've just grown to love it.
So I love your beginning of your career being in sales and entrepreneurships and then shifting into civic. Can you talk a little bit more about why you chose to work with WeCode KC?
Absolutely. So, I started my professional career in pharmaceutical sales. I have always been drawn to anything that really improves the lives of human beings. After spending 10 years in pharma and then shifting to entrepreneurship, I really came to a crossroads in my career where I asked myself, how can I take the tenets of the things that I learned as an entrepreneur, the solid business acumen that I gained as a pharmaceutical rep, and how can I take those skills to really improve lives of others? When I was the director of workforce for KC Scholars, which is another wonderful nonprofit, I had an opportunity to really dream out loud about what would it look like to build a pipeline for tech careers. And that's when I got to know about WeCode, wanted to really help more students in the city gain skills that would put them in 21st century jobs. KC Scholars was a great entree to WeCode. And so now I focus on the tech sector. So I love it.
Awesome. Well, Joe, thanks for joining us today. All right, Joe, we saw you just go back there.
Yeah.
But who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Yeah. Hi there. I think it's funny because we all love our moms. And my mom was a resident of Kansas City, Missouri for about 20 years now. And I lived in Los Angeles for almost 40 years of my life. When the pandemic hit, my wife and we just knew that something needed to change. And we explored some of our options. I was checking to see how my mom was doing in mid-2020 when everything was just locked down and we couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't even leave our house for like a month in Los Angeles. That's how crazy it got. So we decided late 2020 to make a pretty big move. And so I moved my wife and 3 kids out to Kansas City, settled down in Leawood, Kansas. My wife has a little bit of background in the Kansas City, Kansas area, I guess. She went to UMKC for her master's, and she went to KU for her doctorate. And so for her, it was kind of almost a homecoming again, connecting with her old community and friends. So it wasn't that big of a move, I guess, since she had already lived here before. But it's been wonderful. I mean, I met, awesome people like Scott here who got me on this show today, and really made a lot of new friends here and just friendly people, great culture, and what's not to love about Kansas. So we've really adjusted really well here with my kids. One is in high school at Blue Valley High. I have a son in middle school and then a 6-year-old daughter. And after moving to Kansas, we added by adopting a dog and also fostering a little boy who's 4 years old. So now I have 4 kids plus a lab mix that we brought home as a rescue. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience here, and just making a lot of new friends and meeting new people. So my work is I'm the regional director of Infotech Research Group. My role is helping CIOs and IT leaders through our best practices research and helping them really improve their IT organizations through the lens of Infotech, where we operationalize all the insights and research that they're picking up and helping them as an execution partner of getting the work done and getting it done better through best practices.
Joe, you've worked at a wide variety of different companies in big tech. What's your favorite thing about working with CIOs and CTOs in terms of
it's just wonderful, just learning new things. And they're always looking at new tech, and tech is always changing. We're living in the age of exponential IT right now. And so it's never a dull moment, always fun times.
It's always changing. I love that we have 2 people in tech today. That's really fun.
That's right. That's right.
Scott. All right, Scott, I always got to prep Scott for this. He's got one job on the show. Are you ready for your questions, Scott?
The first month I read it, so I'm going off the cuff. Sharmelle, what is the most pivotal point in your career?
That's a good question. I started my career very, young age of 21, coming right out of college, and took this first job with Johnson & Johnson. And when you're in pharmaceutical sales, a lot of people know you want to get, if you can, a drug that's novel, first to market. Well, I ended up with a product that was third to market. And so when I first joined the team, we just weren't sure what our strategy at first was going to be to capture market share. But I think like every other job, it really matters who your leader is. It also matters who your team is. And so with a lot of hard work, strategizing, using data to really figure out who our key partners were going to be, who our key customers were, we were able to the state of Kansas was the southern Kansas territory was really my main responsibility. And I'm going to have to give a shout out to Christina Verbanik and Gerald Hall. Those were my counterparts at the time. And we ended up winning President's Club. To just give you some context around that, that means out of all the reps in the country, we were in the top 10%. And to do that with a product that was third to market was very complicated. I will really say the other thing is being an African-American female in a rural area where there weren't a lot of people that looked like me. I really had to lean on making sure that the clinical data that I presented would be respected by physicians, building strong relationships with doctors, with PharmDs, with nurses. All of those things, I think, really aided us in winning President's Club. And it was a very proud moment for me, because not only was it difficult to do, but it was difficult for someone like myself that was, first of all, very young and operating in an industry where there weren't very many professionals that looked like me.
Sharmelle, it's funny. You're like, oh, the 21-year-old that's really intelligent. Let's give her third to market. Do you like proving people wrong? And has that been a theme of yours in your career, proving people wrong?
Absolutely. And if I think about WeCode KC, our target audience is taking the students that are forgot about and exposing them to careers in technology, exposing them to credentials that will allow them to get sustainable wage jobs without a college career. The job that I have is not easy, but I know that it can be done. And in many ways, this is about making Kansas City strong by building young people that will be productive citizens that are able to have great jobs and pour more money back into the local economy.
Love that. Good answer. I don't know why the clock does that noise.
It's loud. I like it.
Intimidating. All right, get ready, Scott. You got to ask the question one more time. You got it?
Just when I thought I was done, Joe, what
Yes.
is a pivotal point in your career?
Sure. My pivotal point, I think, was when I made a switch from the world of finance to IT. Straight out of college, I went into finance. My parents, they had struggled financially, just being immigrants from South Korea, not speaking the language, and just really having a hard time creating that life for us, like the American dream. And so it was hard. So from a young age, when I was in college, I was working multiple jobs to help my parents out and helping to raise my sister. She actually had moved in with me while I was in college because my parents had moved back to Korea. And so I went into finance because I thought, hey, I could make a lot of money being a Wall Street banker, and it seemed very glamorous. I did that for my first probably 12 years straight out of college. And the pivotal moment was I had a very successful career. I was one of the youngest senior vice presidents, made a very good living and an income, was able to really help my parents and provide them a better life through the work that I was doing and the earnings that I was making. But one of my clients, he was a hedge fund manager, had introduced me to more into the IT world because he was buying and selling tech companies. And so I made a major shift and leap of faith and went into the tech world and worked in IT. And so a couple jobs later is where I ended up with my current role as the regional director of Infotech, where now I am helping as a trusted advisor to CIOs and CTOs and CISOs and IT leaders, helping them through the resources and the power of Infotech to do better in their roles, to improve their IT organizations by leveraging the power of data and using data-driven strategies to systematically improve their IT organizations. So it's a good feeling that, I, don't really have too long of a background in IT, but I was able to learn and leverage all the different jobs that I've had from Wall Street banker to learning about tech and now working with a tech company with vast resources and knowledge with individuals that I can work with to help leaders of IT to do better in their organizations.
Not artificial intelligence. What is something that the executives you work with are curious and want to learn from you about?
Yeah, cybersecurity is always top of mind because the bad guys are out there. They're making attacks left and right every single day. So we're helping them to defend themselves and to really come out of it better, even if there is an attack.
I think it's actually still Googled more than AI, from what I saw.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cybersecurity is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Scott, you did it. Good job.
Yeah.
I'm only doing the wrong side. Okay, here we go. All right, Sharmelle, what are your 2024 goals, and how can the Kansas City community help you achieve those?
Well, to kind of piggyback off of, this topic around, cybersecurity, WeCode Kansas City just launched at KIPP Charter a cybersecurity workforce program.
What does KIPP Charter mean?
So KIPP Charter is a local charter school here in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
And so we have partnered with that school. We are there 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 3 to 6. Students are right now through cyber.org learning about cybersecurity. They're actually enrolled in an intro to cybersecurity course. Our goal is if these students make it through the first phase of this program, we're going to then prepare them for the CompTIA Security Plus credential, which means these students will graduate with their high school diploma and potentially also leave with a industry recognized credential that will allow them to get an entry-level job in cybersecurity. My goal this year is to raise $1.5 million. I can't do that by myself. Anyone that's watching that is really interested in making an investment in the future, please go to www.wecodekc.org. hit the donate button. The other way that people can help accomplish this goal, if you are a decision maker at a local corporation, and it doesn't have to be an IT organization, we welcome hospitals, any major company that needs tech talent. We can build the future pipeline of tech, but it really is going to require corporations to step in, want to be mentors, wanting to be volunteers. If there are HR professionals that want to talk about how to recruit some of our talent that will come out with credentials, that is another way that organizations can help. We also want to be thought partners. We want to sit down and have conversations with corporations. We want to hear, what are your pain points? When we are training young people for entry-level jobs, what do you want us to know? You can reach me at Sharmelle.Winsett at WeCodeKC.org. Schedule some time. I'd love to sit down and talk with anyone that really wants to get involved with building the future pipeline of tech. And then, last but not least, I think, as we think about, you mentioned artificial intelligence, everybody thinks that, oh my goodness, everybody is going to be out of a job. I think the best way for us to prepare for the future of tech is being invested right now in these young people. They say by 2032, there will be 4 million open tech jobs. They don't have to be open. If we come together and talk about ways to get young people interested in tech and get them trained now, I think we can get ahead of the curve, but it requires all of us sitting around the table and coming up with solutions together.
Real quick question, just because I'm pretty familiar with KIPP. Is the plan to take that to all the other KIPP schools as well?
This is a pilot. And so we're using this time to learn. Well, what do students need in order to be successful in earning a credential? What we're finding out really quick is, for instance, transportation is a barrier. We got invited by a local data center to come and do a tour. We had to have someone step up and donate so that we could charter a bus to put the kids on to take them to the field trip. So those are the sorts of things, is that if we, having programs in school removes the barrier to transportation, but we need the financial support. Cybersecurity programs are very expensive, cost about $300,000 to train a cohort of students. So.
Yeah, Scott, it's actually one of the bigger charter schools. There are in quite a few.
I was embarrassed. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, now you learn. Look, you're learning stuff here.
Well, Scott, there's a lot of schools, so I get it.
All right, Joe. What are your 2024 goals, and how can the Kansas City community help you get there?
Yeah, I love how Sharmelle just was sharing about, how the community aspect and her role with WeCode and helping, especially the younger people learn about tech. I'm not so much focused on the younger people, but still, I like that giving to the community because Infotech exists because we're able to understand what good IT looks like. And what we do is we take that of what the top 10% of IT leaders are doing and packaging that in consumable step-by-step IT blueprints and providing that resource to the IT community so that they can take that and use that as their common practices. So with that said, in 2024, I'd like to continue to build out my network within the IT community of Kansas City and to really give back to the community as well in whatever way that I possibly can, whether it's through work or the connections that I make and just helping people. I just saw the article that Google is investing $1 billion into Kansas City. And I love how the tech community in Kansas City is just growing so fast, and it can only be done with that mindset of helping the community and bringing that full circle of helping individuals within that circle that we built within our communities. So I also, outside of Infotech, I serve as a co-chair of the Cybersecurity Executive Roundtables for the Kansas City Technology Council. And so periodically we'll do roundtables and different events throughout the greater Kansas City area with different organizations. I'd like to continue to expand my relationships, meet new people, because I always see these connections as a learning experience, whether it's on the personal front or the professional front. of learning about different people in their lives. And I really just love making new connections. So that's kind of my goal for 2024, is to expand, to build connections, and to give back however and wherever I can.
There is no rhyme or reason when the guests come on the show, so it's really interesting that you guys collide in a lot of great ways.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have for you, Joe, maybe you can answer this for Sharmelle as well, is do you work with any regional? I know Pipeline's one of those. Are there regional, where you're working with people that coexist with Kansas City, but they're in St. Louis, Omaha, or Denver?
I work primarily with people in the state of Kansas, state of Missouri. But in some cases, especially since the pandemic, people have kind of moved out of kind of the mothership, and working remote. So I do work with individuals outside of the Kansas, Missouri areas as well.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of feel like we've got some interesting comments here as we wrap up. That we already saw that one. Great to meet you, Sharmelle. Great to meet you as well, Joe.
Good to meet you.
It's been today. I will place tasks, not jobs. And then Woozy says I work for an AI company. I'm not convinced there will be any jobs. I disagree strongly with you, Woozy. That's a topic for another day. As you said, here's what I want you guys to do. These are great topics. We could go on for forever, but I've got a 3:30, so we got to wrap up. Here is the deal. We have tagged both Joy. I'm trying to put your names together. Joe and Sharmelle. I'm having a hard time talking today. Joe,
what's Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's name combined?
Vegas.
Okay, Joe and Sharmelle need a better name.
That's what I was trying to do. Yeah, David.
I do it all the time.
They are connected on LinkedIn, so make sure you go and follow them. You can scroll back on the replay to hear some of the websites and stuff like that. But make sure you connect. Joe wants to meet new friends. Sharmelle wants to meet people as well. So go connect with both of them. And we will have the AI conversation. Woozy, why don't you come on and talk about AI as a guest? We'll send you a link. Thank you so much to both of you guys for coming on as guests. Thank you, Scott, for being a great co-host. And thank you, Bestway International, for being a wonderful sponsor. Make sure you connect with our guests. Make sure that you're following every Tuesday. We'll be back at the same time, same place next week. Guys, have a great week.
Thank you guys so much.
Everyone.